Hello and welcome to Maggie Mumbles. My name is Maggie, and on this channel I mumble about whatever's on my mind, usually related to witchcraft, spirituality, and personal development. You're probably going to notice more anti-MLM content on this channel because I recently had my own personal encounter with an MLM hun. I've had the hey hun messages on Facebook and Instagram, but I've never seen them out in the wild and had the pitch, in my face the way that I did recently. I'm gonna tell you a story, my story. I have just recently moved to a new town in South Carolina, and that's why I'm in this new space recording, is I'm still putting it together. Oh, I forgot to turn on my lights. Do we like these colors? I think they're good. I was looking to make friends because I'm in a new place and I want to have local friends. My husband and I are lucky because he plays a sport called bike polo.
The Dana kid gets it. Dana comes around. Dana.
Mr. Wu's on him.
Which means that wherever we move, there's always a group of people who also play this obscure sport, and it's such a welcoming and friendly community. So I was already forming friendships with some of the people locally. I just was also interested in meeting other people who had interests like my own interests, because I don't play bike polo, but I like to watch it.
Zoom in. Here we go, Dana.
With that shot.
Oh! Yeah! Got him with the stale bread. Here it is.
If you look, Owen goes down right there.
Oh, he just...
And the ball
he rolled out. Dang it.
Good play, though, man. That was awesome.
Dana was zooming, though.
Yeah. Look at this. Boop. I think Owen, reached and fell. Yep.
Right when he, yeah.
Oh, that was a good
Dang
shot.
it.
I was looking for specifically witchy and spiritual people who I could talk to about astrology and herbalism and kitchen witching and all of the things that I'm interested in.
Standard stuff.
And have them be knowledgeable about it, so I'm not teaching constantly. So I joined a meetup and I joined a group that was for witchy people in the area. And they were having a meetup. One of the things that I was excited about for this meetup, for this group, was that each month they have a topic that's sort of witchy or spiritual or whatever. That's going to be kind of the main focus of the group. And so this time, it was around the time of the new moon in Leo. And so that was kind of the main theme. So I was excited about that because that's something I know about. I felt like I could contribute to that conversation.
Oh, so you know about this witch stuff too?
I'm pretty shy. I don't usually like to go places that I don't know anybody. I feel more comfortable if I already know somebody who's going and we can go together and kind of give each other support. So I was trying to give myself that encouragement and that courage to go and do this thing and meet new people and form these friendships. The fact that I went, I'm very proud of myself for doing that. The fact that I talked to people, I'm very proud of myself for doing that. So we went to this place, we were eating some food. It was a big meeting. There were, I think, 30 people there. So I found a smallish group to sit with because I'm also more comfortable in small groups rather than in big groups. In big groups, I tend to just listen. I don't tend to want to talk too much. I was opening up. And that's when the pitch started. So one of the women who was an organizer of this meetup gathered everyone together at one long table after everyone had kind of finished eating and drinking. And the presentation was from this leader of the group, and then it was going to be open to more discussion. But her presentation was how young living oils can support you through astrological changes. So what oils to use when the new moon is in Leo.
Mom's at an essential oil party.
What?
In a way, it was interesting. I mean, there was some of it that I didn't necessarily agree with from my own personal experience with the herbs that were included in the blends they were suggesting. But I think, everybody has their own usage of herbs for specific things. So I wasn't upset about it or anything like that. What I was upset about was the fact that she was selling and using something that I'm really interested in and really passionate about, and this event that was, I thought, meant to make friends, not to sell something and not to recruit people into what I believe is a pyramid scheme.
It's a pyramid scheme.
In the moment, I wasn't brave enough. I used up all my brave. I'd used up all my brave to just go there and talk to people. I didn't have any more brave left to say something or to add more to the conversation about, well, wait, how is this not a pyramid scheme?
How is this not a pyramid scheme?
I really wish I had. I wish I had a little bit more bravery to give, but I didn't. And so I'm telling you here. I think it really illustrates why I want to talk more about anti-MLM stuff. Like, why am I anti-MLM? Why is this an important topic to talk about in our community? Because there were people who bought oils. There were people who were interested in the opportunity. I wish they'd had the information that I have about what it really means to join a company like Young Living or doTERRA, which is another one that also uses sort of witchy spiritual language to recruit people, or Purium that I've talked about, or Healy. I think I'll go back. Like, I think there were people there who I could form friendships with. I don't know if it's always the same organizer who leads it and she's always going to be pitching Young Living, but maybe as I am more involved in the group, I'll feel more comfortable to say things in person about it. For now, I'll just talk to you about it. By the way, I do use essential oils. I use Eden's Garden, which is not an MLM. They're much less expensive. They have all of their third-party testing available right on their website. And this blend is so good. It's called Good Morning. It's like basically like the main ones are orange and peppermint. And I do love it. I like oils for aromatherapy. Don't put them on my skin. I just put them in the diffuser and breathe them in. So with all of that said, I do have a video that I want to react to today. The person who is running it is a Young Living representative, and she's invited a man named Robert Tennyson Stevens on. She's interviewing him. He is the author of a book called My Word Made Flesh, and that caused quite a stir about a year ago within the Young Living company. A split, really, where a lot of people were like, wait, I thought this was a Christian company. Why are we talking about all these witchcraft things? Because the book, in my opinion, it still has a lot of Christian undertones. I mean, the words, my word made flesh, is from, isn't that a scripture? I don't know if it's actually from the Bible, but it's the idea of Christ becoming human, incarnating on the earth, and he is the Son of God, so he is, by extension, of God. So anyway, like, the title of it is Christian, but there are things like auras and chakras and that kind of stuff in the pages of this book. And the foreword is by Mary Young, who is the CEO, I believe, right now of Young Living. She's Gary Young's wife, or widow, I guess. And so she took over the company after he passed away. Anyway, there is a connection to Young Living because she's kind of given it legitimacy through contributing to it. And so there was a split of people who were like very, witchy and into chakras and auras and things like that. And people who are very Christian who are like, whoa, we don't like that stuff. So it did cause quite a stir. There's some other videos about this in the anti-MLM community. I think the Antibot did a video. And Savannah Marie has a second channel for ASMR where she reads chapters from the book. I'll link those down below. But this is an interview with the author of the book. This is a public YouTube channel, a public YouTube video. So they've presented themselves as public figures. And I haven't watched it yet. I just kind of clicked through to see what they talk about. And let's just see where it goes.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Bob and I are coming. We're coming in hot, and we're going to be talking about raising our frequency to go above any challenge, to rise above any challenge, right, Bob?
Yes.
Yes. So let's get at it. I'm going to let you take it away, you guys. As you guys are having questions, go ahead and say your questions. Also, I think I'm just a big fan of you guys calling out your miracles as they're happening. Go ahead and call out the miracles that you've been seeing in your life, maybe since the last time that you saw us, whatever that is. I really love doing that because what that does is it creates a filter for us to always be looking for miracles. So that's and when you're looking for them, you're gonna find what you're looking for, friends.
That is something that I've talked about before in some of my own videos. Where it comes from is your reticular activating system in your brain. It's the part of your brain that like does filter out things that your brain decides are unnecessary information. It's why you can't remember every single face you've ever seen. Like you would be too overwhelmed with information if you're constantly noticing everything and remembering all those things. And so the idea is that you can trick your brain into what you want it to notice by intentionally noticing certain things. So there is some truth to it. The way she's saying it, it feels very like toxic positivity to me, but I also think there is value to being grateful. So also, did you notice how many oils she has on her wall? Look at the wall behind her and just how many Young Living oils are hanging there.
Bob, have at it, brother.
So my request to Martha today or whatever, I think it was today, she doesn't know, was with all the stuff going on in the world right now, and I'm not going to give a lot of power to it, I do choose to be really aware and conscious. So I've been...
Sorry, we're barely a minute in. That's this idea of magical thinking where not acknowledging something takes its power away. And I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about. This video came out, February 28th, 2020. So he's specifically talking about COVID. He's creating an entity out of COVID by saying that he doesn't want to give it power. I heard a lot of people talking about the virus this way, especially at the beginning. So that's interesting.
I've been at this for 52 years, and I was born the same year as Gary, by the way. So that's really cool for me, having, this is lifetime stuff for me. And I'm choosing to talk about what it takes to be above stress, disease, or whatever. How to be above it. So if we go, what do we do to protect ourselves from this booga? That's, yeah, maybe, but I'd like, especially all of us who have the blessing of what we've got in our world right now, to really go at this thing differently. So it's been said, the report of the physicians that are coming out, and Marcella von Harding just shared a thing by a doctor just explaining everything. And if you watch that, I recommend everybody reverse it and see perfection versus just take the words that are being spoken.
Sir, what? Read the report of the physicians and reverse it? Reverse! What does that even mean? How do you reverse? Okay. So this is going to be a lot of misinformation about the pandemic. Like I said, this is February 28th, so this is very early on. There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of misinformation. There still is. And it's like kind of grown and spread and evolved. I think it's kind of an interesting time capsule of going back in time and seeing how we were talking, how some people were talking about it, and how other people were talking about it, and how we collectively felt. Sometimes I think back on how I felt, and I remember being very scared cleaning the grocery bags and all of the groceries as we brought them into the house and doing all that stuff, cleaning my shoes anytime I left the house and came back in, before we really understood exactly how the virus was spreading and everything like that. So just for everyone's sake, prepare yourself for a lot of misinformation. I wasn't sure what this was going to be about, so here we are.
Lungs, if they're involved in anything, I'm just going to talk about body parts for a minute, sacred body language translation. Lungs are about inspiration. They bring in air, inspire. And so
the interviewer, Martha, she's just like,
counterfeit, the opposite, the challenge that may be to lung, besides whatever else in the world and all that other stuff, is despair and survival. So you figure where this is going on in China, as no judgment, just come on, let's wake up. They haven't necessarily, I love Chinese people, so that's not at all what I'm saying. They have been oppressed in the past. They've been, all kinds of stuff that I wouldn't want to go do that, even though I love China. So it's imperative, everyone, from right now on, no matter what else you're doing, I thrive. If everybody can just say, I thrive, I love thriving, I'm inspired, I love inspiring my world. Because everything we're doing, that's what the oils all are about, is inspiration. And they're volatile, they're in the air. When we breathe them in, they're going right in to do something. Not to heal what's wrong. No. They're here to restore or raise or bring us up above that old pattern, any old pattern.
I'm so confused. Okay, so I do like that he said that it's not to heal what's going on. He's not saying that the oils can heal COVID, but that they are volatile just like the virus is. I don't know what he's talking about. Sorry, about inspiration. It's kind of some affirmations, I guess, which I'm not opposed to affirmations, especially for like helping yourself feel less scared and more empowered in a time of uncertainty. I'm not opposed to all of that. I don't know what he said. Sacred body language translation. I think that's the thing that he does. It's TM on their website. So sacred body language translation. 90% of all communication is nonverbal, and our bodies are always communicating with us. So what are our bodies saying? There are static states and dynamic states of movement. What is the difference? By asking one simple yet powerful question, and our body begins to move and tell a story of our victory returning. Come watch the intro on how Bob began and discover this vast, miracle-producing vehicle we call our bodies. So it sounds like a little bit of woo-woo body language experts. Oh yeah, sacred body language translations. Yeah, so he's a body language expert. I think that there is some truth to some body language. There's certain things that you can kind of see how a person is behaving, how it might translate to what they are thinking.
You look at body language?
There's a really great video from Yin Kat about body language experts, especially the ones on YouTube, about how it really isn't as accurate as the people who do it for YouTube say do it. Anyway, that I'll link that video down below too. But that's what that sounds like this is basically body language experts for woo-woo people.
So, and then there's the lungs, and then the medulla is the brain center to the lungs. So the medulla brain stem is basically where we find neurologically fight or flight sympathetic nervous system, or ergotrophic it's called. And so if anyone is over a period of time, or if the marketing through media is about fight or flight, obviously that's not what we choose to have. So the medulla is the brain center to the lungs, which makes it fascinating. So I'm just choosing to give you some of the way this works. So the medulla in the structure of the eye and the map of the eye through bioopticalography, iridology.
He's just throwing out all these like terms as if people know what he's saying. I certainly don't know what he's saying. He's not giving any sources, and he's not defining what these words are.
And I kind of ended up with word salad.
So in my opinion, he's just saying them to appear as if he has more authority, more information and knowledge about the topic, without backing that up with any sort of facts or stats or cited sources or anything like that.
The medulla in each eye is 180 to the bladder. So if you could imagine, bladder is about survival, emotional survival. Medulla is about survival. So the very fact that if lungs are involved, the counterfeit or the opposite, our greatest weakness shall be our greatest strength, is our planet is attempting to bring us upscale into thriving, period. And we're the perfect place to do this, period. All right, so our medulla, it's either, if we're in fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system, brain stem, gotta, have to, must, gotta, need. Our medulla, when we reach parasympathetic, relax, is when we go to higher brain function. So everyone, I trust, I relax, I'm calm. So think about those things and breathing, how that changes.
So some of that, I feel like, is a little bit of like suppress the fight or flight and replace it with I breathe, I relax, I'm calm. I think what would be more helpful is to examine that fear. And what I did at the time, I took a seminar early on in quarantining times, led by a traditional witch who was talking about really leaning into those fears, really leaning into fighting, running, freezing, allowing those emotions to kind of wash over, the fear to wash over, and then also taking that fear and examining it and looking at it from every angle and adding in information that can to help you understand the fear, and then letting it go. And it was really powerful for me because I was able to feel scared, and also it opened up some doors to help me like learn more about what was happening and listen to the experts. And yeah, the experts were, there was some changes as they learned more, but I just followed them where they were going, listening to their reasoning, their research, and why their opinions changed after doing more research, after investigating more. It helped me to like not feel scared. And it wasn't by, just saying I'm not scared. It was by feeling the fear and then finding the root of the fear and finding ways to remove that fear through deeper education on the topic. And I think we can do that with everything. I think a lot of people create opinions about things based on fear without looking deeper into where that fear comes from and getting more information about it. What I'm hearing him say is just like, replace the fear with calmness, but he's not really giving helpful steps for doing that, except potentially like breathe in this oil and then you won't feel fear, you'll feel calm. But I think it takes a little bit more like active work on your part rather than just like turning on your diffuser.
When we breathe deeply, we're in parasympathetic lungs. Viruses, as an example, are man-made thought forms, basically, and so don't only agree with your perfection, with the I am that I am.
Viruses aren't man-made. I mean, maybe the fear about that is created by man. He's using the word thought form as well, which is not what a thought form is. A thought form is an ancient Tibetan idea of basically like how your thoughts can take form through repeating the thought over and over again and creating like strongly held beliefs. So what he's basically saying is that if we continuously believe that this virus is scary, it's taking form, it's getting more power. But that's not what a virus is. The fear of the virus, I could see how that might be the thought form. I could see how that could be giving it more power than it deserves, especially at this point where we have more information about it. But the virus itself is not man-made and it's not a thought form. It's not really a living thing. Viruses are weird. Like, it's not living in the same way bacteria is, or a plant or a fungus or an animal. It's like something else. And they're weird, but they're not man-made. That's the key. Viruses are not man-made and they're not thought forms.
With that which is your highest state of truth, only agree with that. And then my outcome today with you, Martha, is to help everybody pop right up to a frequency above whatever else might be going on in the world or in anything else. So let's bring our vibration up to each one of our full enthusiasm. So enthusiasm, root word entheos, it means God in you, God in me. Whatever that word is for people, that's what it means. So, and then we'll just talk about how to do that. So right now, if you can all realize that the lungs are the last and the channel of elimination to work. They're the last one. At first it goes the bowel. If the bowel can't do the work, then kidneys and bladder try to do the work. If the kidneys and bladder can't do the work, then the skin tries to do the work. If the skin can't do the work, then the lungs try to do the work.
What are your sources?
If somebody comes in with skin, lungs, or bladder, I always go upstream and let's find out, let's get the body eliminating waste first. So if everyone can remember that, all right, to remain high frequency, get your pooper like your puppy.
My dog just pooped 3 times today. Before we came live, that's what Bob was, I'm so sorry, Bob. But you just led me right into it. My little Pomeranian, he just pooped outside, and Mike and I were just like, man, that's like the 3rd time today that he pooped. And Bob's like, yes.
he was channeling he was canining our talk today.
Yeah.
So if everybody can realize it, if anything, lungs going on, any skin stuff going on, back up the chain. If kidney bladder is going on at all, please go back and just move, let go, love what you feel and let go. How's that?
Let it go, let it go.
And that's the pooper power. All right.
Pooping, that's the pooper power.
Yeah, get the pooper. Let it go. You got to move it. You got to move it. All right. Next is, she's snorting. This is a good thing. Whenever someone's snorting, that means they're bringing in more air than they were prepared to. That's what snorting is all about. I love it. So next is, in whatever you hear that's going on in the world, keep your attention on what you love. Fear lowers the immunity, and love, trust, faith, courage, assuredness, confidence, raise it.
Basically saying that fear makes you more sick and love makes you more immune to sickness. I don't even know how to address that statement.
That's victim blaming.
That literally makes no sense. There are people who are full of love and faith and trust, courage, assuredness, confidence, all these things that he listed, and they get sick. And there's people who are fearful who never get sick. What? I think we don't want to stay in a state of fear. But like I was talking about before, learning what is causing that fear and finding things to help you not be afraid of those things so that you can release the fear.
So remember, I trust love, I trust God, I just stay in the trust. And it's subtle in that, the reports and the things that are going on, it's like there's a sidebar. There's like a virus, like a computer virus that you don't even see when we're talking about something, cancel clear.
What is that?
So always bring your attention to highest. And everybody, if you have God, whatever name you use that created you, whatever name it is that built you before you knew you were you, use that name in the most high frequency you can. Stay with it. That's what I can tell you.
But having faith in God or whatever creator, higher power, spiritual sky boss you believe in doesn't make it so that you won't get sick.
Trust, love, breathe, stay, feel, confidence, courage, assuredness raise us. They raise us. So if I just all day, I trust love, I trust love, I trust love, I trust my love, I trust my love, stay in that game. And then let's all, and this is part of what we'll talk about, I'm just going to talk about the conception of it. Let's all partner with Mother Nature. So every time man creates another, nature builds something to handle. It's always like a balance, a yin yang of it, that kind of stuff.
Every time man creates another, and then you made a fart noise, nature builds something to handle it. A balance of yin and yang. There's just a lot wrong with that. That's not what yin and yang is.
Who told you this was a yin yang?
Humans and nature are not the dual energies. And one's not negative, and yin and yang aren't negative and positive. The concept of yin and yang, my understanding of it is that it is similar to the concept of the masculine and feminine energy, which I prefer to call the active and the passive energy, which are dual energies that exist in all things, all living things, all inanimate things. Every piece of matter that exists has a balance of these dual energies, but one isn't like bad and one is good. They both have a spectrum of good and bad, and man didn't create something. This isn't man-made. This is something created by nature, and humans are creating the thing that will eliminate it. It's like the opposite. And by that I mean the vaccine, which was made by humans.
Essential oils, pure essential oils from seed to seal, that's the only way I can approach it, are volatile, which means they work in all the bodies. They take a negative spin and they flip it. They just flip it. It doesn't even have to get rid of the disease. No, there's unease, but it just brings ease. It lubricates where there was friction in the past. It lubricates and brings ease. That's what essential oils do. And essential oils are sunlight through photosynthesis into the blood of the plant in a particular frequency to give us a blessing of the highest order.
I mean, technically the essential oils are actually the waste product of the plant, not the blood of the plant. They smell great. So like that aspect of it, they're different from like our waste products, obviously. He was also talking about how essential oils just flip things from unease to ease, and that it's a lubrication of emotions, I guess. That sounds like using essential oils to bypass feeling the emotions. I use essential oils when I'm doing shadow work because they create an element of safety because of the things that I associate with certain scents. They bring me into a place where I feel safe in order to feel the uncomfortable, the unease of hard emotions. But I don't use them as a way to force myself to not feel those things and to put myself into that feeling of safety without addressing what's causing those hard emotions and why I'm feeling that way. Does that distinction make sense? It's not a way to just like bypass from feeling scared or hurt or angry or sad and put yourself into a place of joy and love and faith and confidence. For me, it's a way to feel safe while I feel sad and angry and fearful as I do the work to transform that into love and faith and confidence.
And the whole idea, I thank you, Gary Young, for keeping it so pure that we, it's not touched, so to speak, by the human sense. Gary was amazing at that, still is, and wherever he is. And so I'm asking all of us to realize that, all right, one frequency, one ascent, like we're going to talk about thieves in a minute, but just the idea of thieves, just smelling thieves. I have a mustache. I can put a little thieves right there, and all day long going, hello. And I'm in the state of thieves, which means that, in other words, you got clove, lemon, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. So
why are you putting clove and eucalyptus and cinnamon on your face? Are you using a carrier oil? That's going to burn your skin.
They all have frequency. Cinnamon, just one thing about cinnamon in my system, cinnamon defeats or anesthetizes ego and brings our spirit online. So for me, in clove, we all know that does something relative to parasites and whatever. But anyway, the point is, for me, when we use thieves, why does it work? Well, it works and all that, and it heals the Black Plague and all that. Well, let's go back to that for just a second. The Black Plague, the people in Europe at that time were eating lard, pies. Not a lot of life force in lard pies. So, and if we see where this seemingly started, according to at least the reports that are coming out, they were eating stuff that maybe they shouldn't be eating or eating it raw or whatever. So bless everybody, but let us remember that just thieves alone, I prefer not to focus on that it kills all this stuff, and bacteria, whatever, won't grow in it. Oh, okay. But why won't it grow in it? Because it's a high frequency. And it's such a high frequency. If you all get...
First of all, There have been many tests done that prove that Thieves does not prevent bacteria from growing on it. And secondly, the reason that bacteria and things don't grow on actual disinfectants is not because they're a high frequency. It's really hard to have a conversation about things that are scientific when the arguments used against it are casting things like bacteria and viruses as like spiritual enemies. You can't face a spiritual enemy with a practical solution, with a scientific solution, because they're giving it a deeper meaning. They're giving it a spiritual meaning of like, this is coming from the enemy, or this is coming from fear, or whatever, the negativity, bad emotions. And you can't fight that with logic and science. I guess it's because you can't like disprove a belief.
Get that? And it's a marriage made in heaven. It's like a seed of life, 5 frequencies that came together. Gary, thank you very much. God through Gary, because that's the only way I can really see it. And so you've got this thing called Thieves, and what it does is if I keep myself, anything, any remedy, if we can keep us out of what it kills or gets rid of and just turn around and go, what does it restore? What does it bring to us? Then the whole idea of Thieves for me is it keeps me above, right away, instantly above whatever was lower frequency. So this viral thing is a lower frequency. It can't touch spirit. You know, if God is for me, who could be against me? Now, another way to put it, even with all this, the stock market stuff and all going on, there's a scriptural, not religion, a scriptural statement that says, all things work together for good for those who love God. So if you can do that, if it fits for you in your strategy, say all things work together for good for those who love God, and I love God. I mean, add that in. So now I say, you know, this is a blessing.
Did he just say that COVID-19 is a blessing? It was a blessing for the people who lost their lives and who lost their loved ones. It's a blessing for the people who are still, even now, 2023, dealing with the effects of COVID, long COVID.
The folks in our world that might not know this stuff. And for me, I mean, I make sure I have enough for my whole community. I just make sure I have enough for my whole community.
Okay, I think he was saying that Young Living's Thieves blend is a blessing. So, sorry I got a little bit ahead of myself.
Whether they're in my Young Living essential oils or not, I've got it right here. And, you know, if somebody goes, there you go, you know, I've handed out, I don't know, probably 50 bottles of Inner Defense or way
50 bottles of Inner Defense, 30 soft gels. That includes Thieves oregano and thyme essential oils, and they cost retail $40.46, and if you have the discount it's $30.35, and you are giving it away. Okay, I imagine he's been doing this for a while and it's not like all at once he gave away 50 bottles, but $1,537.50 is how much 50 bottles of Inner Defense is. Take one 3 to 5 times a day. You're eating this and telling people to eat this? According to Healthline, while reading about essential oils, you may have heard about something called Thieves Oil. It's actually a blend of several, most often cinnamon, clove, eucalyptus, lemon, and rosemary. And then they talk about the safety risks. Cinnamon and clove can be skin irritants. Also, citrus oils like lemon can lead to photosensitivity. That means that you can, if you're in the sun and you have a citrus oil on your skin, it can lead to sun damage, like sunburn. Now, the final safety precautions: dilute before using. Don't eat or drink essential oils. Use good ventilation when using essential oils for aromatherapy. Consider who else is in the room. Some essential oils are dangerous for pregnant people, children, and pets. Keep essential oils away from your eyes. Be aware of any product information that claims to treat a specific disease or condition. He's been very careful about not claiming that they can cure COVID, but they can support the emotions that are coming up because of COVID. And then also be aware that the Food and Drug Administration doesn't regulate essential oils, so claims can be more like marketing and not validated by research. And the medical news today specifically says people should never swallow Thieves oils, as some essential oils can be toxic. And it's important to understand that Thieves Oil is not a cure-all. National Capital Poison Center says eucalyptus can cause seizures if swallowed, and yet Young Living on their website says that you can heat up some water, add some honey and lemon juice, and a few drops of Thieves.
No. Way more than that on Thieves, because I just say that's the point. The point is, let's be above. So I'm going to give a little bit more here. So essential oils are volatile and they work on all the bodies. Please get that. They're, not just physical, or it's all the body. They're volatile and they reverse. Again, they take a negative vortex and think about the negativity in the past that in the past was going on about this thing, and it just flips it. Any essential oil will do that. Any essential oil. Dr. Ben, I'm sure, talks about, whatever you got in your pocket, go at it, have at it. Yep. And then everyone, if you can really focus on stay above the fray and increase, and don't stay above so that you don't get something, stay above and keep moving up. That's called our spiritual life. That's called, love. That's called what it's about. So anyway, that my goal is just to partner with what we've got here in such a way that we realize that, all right, I don't even need to even listen, be aware, but don't reverse everything you hear. Please, everybody, reverse it, replace it. Well, it's just so many people are, don't do that.
Reverse what you hear. He's saying that again. Don't listen. Don't pay attention. If people are telling you something, you don't need to hear it, and reverse it. So if someone's telling you 50 people died yesterday in New York City because of this virus. Oh, la 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 la. No, I'm not listening. La 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 la. That's what he's telling you to do. Toxic positivity. Literally, that's what that is.
I recommend you make an agreement. Every one of us, you've got 10,000 people probably involved in this particular group, whatever the numbers are. What's that?
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, just so. So I'm going to say by the second, you probably do 10 to 200,000, something like that. So every one of us just make an agreement that the frequency, let's say, of Thieves, the essential oils of Thieves, the blend of these 5 things that raise above the egoic state of the human condition of despair, it raises everyone into confident, loving, thriving. Period.
Man, you guys, this is good stuff. Is everybody getting this? I'm going to check out the comments real quick to see what folks are saying. When you truly understand frequency for what it is and can almost visualize, it's not hard, I guess, but when you can actually visualize what frequency does to things, you can see it in your own life, right? You can see it when you're lower vibe and then you choose a higher frequency, or whenever you use an oil and then allow it to raise your frequency. You see exactly what it actually does, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And if there are, I'm not going to go into the data of it because I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that there is data out there that says that that certain diseases, certain cancers, things like that, live at a certain frequency and cannot live above that frequency, right?
I'm not going to tell you about the sources. I'm just going to say this thing and hope that you believe me.
There is data out there that says, okay, well, show us then. Show us the data.
And that's sort of that's a bit of what we're saying, but that's not, that's all I'm saying there. Okay, so first of all, I love that you said about the cinnamon and ego thing. I didn't know that before. So I love that very much. So whenever you're cleaning your house with Thieves, you're doing some ego balancing, right?
Whenever you're cleaning your house with Thieves, you're not cleaning your house.
And the things that I would suggest, so whenever Bob and I talked briefly earlier today about what we were going to talk about, he was suggesting that I bring in some different products that I would suggest to also be able to help support our systems, right?
Let me talk to you about some of the oils I sell so that you'll buy them. Let me make some health claims about our oils, but say that they're supporting our systems.
Again, we're not alleviating anything. We're not healing things. What we're doing is we're supporting our bodies. And you guys, our bodies are amazing and know what to do. What we're doing is we're supporting them, okay? So the things that I am using heavily in my own family right now, and we're not really even thinking about any, sort of fear stuff that's happening on TV.
We're just tuning out all of the important information that is telling us how to survive in this chaotic and confusing time. We're just ignoring that because we live in a privileged state that we don't have to think about it. We live in a privileged position where we can pretend that that's not happening.
I see it, and I mean, we just took a flight. We took 2 flights down to Texas last week, 2 flights back, and we weren't all concerned about things, okay?
What? I guess in February, at the end of February, we weren't like totally locked down and the recommendations. I mean, I can't remember exactly the timing of things. I feel like the recommendations were to not travel though at that point.
Yeah, we'll just put everyone else at risk. Who cares? We gotta go on vacation.
What we're doing in my family is we drink the juice. We drink a lot of the juice, you guys. That's a bunch of nutrients, okay? I mean, if that's the only thing that you need to know about it, it's a bunch of nutrients that are going to support your body. Bunch of plant-based nutrients that are nothing but source energy that are coming through. Bob says it the best. Whenever say that thing that you say about how the oils, like the blood of the plant and stuff. Can you say
so
that?
we have sunlight, and then the plant, through photosynthesis, produces and builds that sunlight. It grows in the form of sunlight through photosynthesis, and it becomes the blood of the plant, which is what's distilled, and that's what we have in these bottles or supplements or caps or whatever.
I mean, I guess in a way it's like sort of accurate because the plant creates its own food through photosynthesis. But like I was saying before, the blood of the plant, it's actually called a phloem. By comparison, you could consider the essential oils of the plant the blood, even though they're not only the phloem. They're like, they come from a lot of different types of like plant functions. Like, I guess I don't have to be so particular about the language he's using. I just think it's kind of using like flowery language, like evocative language to make them seem more romantic.
Yes, that's you guys. That's awesome. That's awesome. The other thing, so juice is on my list, is on my checklist of the thing that I don't ever run out of ever in life. We all drink at least 2 ounces a day. I drink about 6. That's just mine. That's what I prefer. Another thing that we're not going without right now is inner defense. If you have little ones that can't take pills, what I would do is I would cut open a capsule, dilute it in some fractionated coconut oil or some sort of carrier oil, rub it along their spine, because that's where that sort of thing, just rub it on their spine or on their feet and then throw some socks on, whatever you want to do, either way.
I'm going to check on the children.
Your feet have the have the biggest pores on your body. Okay, so like so far as being able to bring them in. So juice, inner defense. Thieves, obviously we already talked about thieves. That's just an everyday thing for my family anyway. Thieves always. Another thing for us is oregano. Oregano, it's like a hotter oil. You're not necessarily going to want to drink it unless you're a super duper trooper. but that's another thing you can just rub along your spine. You can put on your feet. That's dilute it. Make sure that it's diluted. That's another thing that's going to be a way to support your system. Another thing is any sort of oil that you inhale and feels like where it just blows your lungs, like it fills your lungs up. For me, those would be like a peppermint or a eucalyptus or a raven or an RC or something like that. Those are the ones for me that are just like, and that's going to obviously help support what you feel it's supporting.
If you feel like it's supporting you, then it's going to support you. Source?
2 things that are not with Young Living that are also on in our toolbox, I guess is what I'll say. Colloidal silver is something that we use to support our bodies, and then also elderberry, you guys.
All right, so colloidal silver is one of those that has come up a lot, especially in the wake of COVID, as one of those cure-alls. Basically what it is, according to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, colloidal silver consists of tiny silver particles in a liquid. Evidence to support the health claims is lacking. The FDA has warned that colloidal silver isn't a safe or effective treatment for any disease or condition. Additionally, the FDA and the FTC have taken action against a number of companies for making misleading claims about colloidal silver products. Colloidal. I keep saying colloidal, but it's colloidal. Colloidal silver can cause serious side effects. The most common is argyria, a buildup of silver in the body's tissues causing a bluish-gray discoloration of the skin, which is usually permanent. Ooh. Colloidal silver can cause poor absorption of some drugs, such as certain antibiotics, and thyroxine, which is used to treat a thyroid deficiency. There's also some evidence that it can cause liver, kidney, and nervous system problems. Silver has no known functions or benefits in the body when taken by mouth, and it is not an essential mineral. Colloidal silver was used to treat infections and wounds before antibiotics became available. There's no clinical evidence supporting the use of colloidal silver to prevent or treat COVID-19. Furthermore, no alternative remedies or dietary supplements have been shown to prevent or cure COVID-19.
Those things, that's what we use to support our family in order to just maintain our health and let our bodies do what they're supposed to do. We just support our bodies in doing what they're already magnificently created to do, right? It's just, we live in an environment that is what it is. And if we can support our bodies, that's what we want to do. And that's how we do it. So what you got, Bob?
I'm going to add mineral essence. We use it. We have a little bit different version of that, but mineral essence is awesome. We have a liquid, we call it BioLiquid Light, a little bit different type of mineral. It's a bigger bottle, much more in it.
So that's a Young Living product, Mineral Essence. It is a daily liquid supplement that combines the benefits of minerals with premium essential oils, lemon, cinnamon, and peppermint, ionic minerals, which are the most fully and quickly absorbed form of minerals available, magnesium. It's an excellent source of magnesium. It looks like it's some kind of salt, not stable salt, but maybe magnesium chloride. So according to WebMD, that magnesium chloride can upset your stomach and create diarrhea. So I guess we're getting that pooper working.
And all the minerals, basically, anything, the calciums, etc., any of the building blocks help alkalize. They do all that stuff. Now, alkaline, that's another really great thing to remember, that an acidic state is not a relaxed state. And so, and I'm just going to add, for me, when we do our lifestyle health stuff, and then we add certain phrases to it, which I wrote a few down that I love. One is, only love touches me. Only love touches me. Only love touches me. And then, I am invisible, invincible, and invulnerable to all human creation. I'm invisible, invincible, and invulnerable to all human creation.
But what about natural things like viruses?
And then, I am my permanent, victorious health and wealth.
Woo!
I am my permanent, victorious health and wealth. And health and wealth are the same thing. They're always, health and wealth are exactly, they're like yin and yang of the same energy package. So if you have health, you have wealth, in whatever form that is.
What? Is he saying that one is yin and one is yang? I don't think he understands what yin yang.
Are you familiar with the concept of yin and yang?
The one thing about the word health, H-E-A-L, heal, th. Th is, T-H is, the means God. So when we say health, it's heal God, heal God. And it's really cool, the word,
It always cracks me up when people do these kinds of things. Does that make sense in any other language? Like, that's not the origin of the word, or where it comes from, or the etymology, or whatever.
Anyway, it's like shoulder. When I figured out that S-H-O-U-L-D, should, and then shoulder it should be shoulder. But anyway, so I mean, if we're carrying burdens, they're on the shoulder, because it's fascinating to get in to the...
She's like, wow. I don't know if she actually thinks that that's interesting.
The frequency, especially the phonetics of language, is really wild. So next, be a positive charge at all times. That's all you have to do. And to do that, for me, I vote permanent victory. Like, I am my own permanent victory in the light. I am your. If I hear about anything, if I remember, if I'm voting victory. I'm seeing perfection. I'm reversing it. I'm just imagining a miracle in its place. Let the weak man say, I am strong. We are our brothers and sisters keepers, that kind of stuff.
Just saying words. It's magnetic poetry. He took a magnetic poetry set and he just threw it. And this is what he's saying now.
So again, vote permanent victory in all you see, in all you hear, in all you feel, in all you remember, and all you touch. Vote permanent victory.
What is she writing down? There's no, how is she just trying to figure out what he's saying by writing down each of his words so that she can read it and be like, oh, it means this. Because just listening to it, I'm like, what?
I am is the strongest statement. I am is I, God, am, action. I am is a done deal. It's not a toward, it's a fact. And then raise every experience that you have in gratitude up into the heart, in your heart, and up into your creator, whatever that is for you, which is in and above you. So bring everything through appreciation into love. In other words, to get hooked into something lower, we have to judge, condemn, criticize, shame, blame, or guilt it. So if we just forgive it, wah-yah, and then send it on, my little wah-yah story. So
I wonder what that is. I'm gonna have to find a video of him telling his why story.
My final one, my most favorite, especially when anything's going on, God is the only presence and power acting here. God is the only presence, and people have to use their words, I'm using mine. God is the only presence and power acting in, through, and around me. God is the only presence and power acting in, through, and around my family. God is the only presence and power acting in, through, and around my home. God is the only presence and power acting in, through, and around my community. God, and these are examples, God is the only presence and power acting in, through, and around my nation. God is the only presence and power acting in, through, and around Mother Earth. So in other words, the only presence and power, what we've done is, if God is for me, who could be against me? I mean, think about that, everyone.
So that's basically like a protection spell, and so I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Begin thy magic spell.
With all of this kind of stuff, it's something that I've talked about before. I mean, it's what a witch has to do, is walk this line between what is known and what is unknown. When we're casting spells, when we're bringing in protection against things that could harm us, when we're inviting abundance or inviting more happiness or inviting friends into our lives, we have to balance that so that we remain on the line with the practical knowledge, the scientific understanding, and the actions that we can take that are also doing those things. In casting a spell for protection, inviting God or whatever you believe in to protect your space, to protect you and your family, to protect your world, your earth, whatever, also doing the practical actions of taking care of yourself as best you can, moving your body, eating, drinking water, getting sleep,
And focus on your critical self-care.
if you're inviting abundance. We're not just like casting a spell for inviting abundance, we're also looking for opportunities to get a promotion, finding a job, whatever it is that you do to bring abundance in. He didn't say that not to do those things, but I just personally want to say that it's important to walk that line of, yes, there's magic in this world.
Magic, magic, magic.
And balancing it with, these are the things that we know to be true through scientific understanding and through practical experience.
It's like magic, but with electricity.
What I've learned in my studies, I did a whole bunch of material on this, is that if I am aware of a force in opposition to what I choose, I can't have what I choose because I've got a split screen. So an enzyme is a unipole. An enzyme, by the way, I would highly recommend enzymes for high frequency. Yes. They're the deal. So an enzyme, it doesn't have a pole, like doesn't have positive and negative. It has one pole, and it's life. You know, if I can get to one pole of be in as positive as steel, so to speak. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That's the whole point, is now all these nutrients are lubricating, not just taking me away from a problem. They're bringing me into a state of strength or grace, which is where I can live all day long and ignite grace everywhere I go, period.
Yeah. Oh, my word. Is everybody getting this? Is everybody getting all of this? I wrote down so many statements. One of those statements that I wrote down that you just said that just hit me square in the forehead was imagine a miracle in its place. So when you see something less than, when you experience something less than, whatever, imagine a miracle in its place. Let's be candid for a second. I mean, we always are, but I'm going to talk about something. When people, okay, how am I going to say this? A lot of us have been conditioned via society, been conditioned that to complain about things, or to see things to then complain about, that's how we make conversation with people, is by just tiny little like, oh, well, nah.
Our society is conditioned to do toxic positivity. I read this book called Bright-Sided by Ehrenreich, and it was so interesting. She wrote it in her journey with breast cancer, where she felt like everything was about like, look at the positive side, don't allow the disease of cancer to take power, you're fighting a war, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's where it started, but it prompted her to look at the history of toxic positivity basically in American culture and the origin. And of course, it's always capitalism, right? Capitalism is the root of all problems, and talks about the downsides of the power of positive thinking, the way that it blames the victim, blames your thoughts basically and your negative outlook on life for whatever bad things happen to you. So it's really interesting that she's saying that society conditions us to be like nitpicky and naysayers, when it's not my experience. I mean, I've had to go through so much. I've always been a very like optimistic, look at the bright side of life kind of person. And to be fair, I've had a very privileged upbringing and life. I haven't had that many struggles, you know, things that would point me to the world is bad and evil. So like, that's just my experience. But it's also made it so that I've had a hard time understanding what emotions are, because it wasn't just about being optimistic. It was about not allowing myself to look at emotions, look at when I was feeling angry or sad. And so that's been my journey the past maybe like 10 years, allowing myself to be kind of cynical and snarky and allowing myself to feel angry when it comes up so that I can let it go and feel sadness and allow myself to cry instead of just like turning it around immediately and being like, oh, but look at all these good things. So anyway, that's at least my experience, is that really our society is conditioned to be toxically positive. And so, like, I don't know, it's just really interesting to hear her say that our society conditions us to be negative. I don't know. Let me know. What is your experience? Do you feel like there's a lot of toxic positivity in the world? Or what's your experience of this?
It's just kind of this mucky muck stuff. And it's like what people talk about. And there's like, I always assume positive intent. They don't mean to talk about that. It's all they know, right? Like that's what they think. But whenever we imagine miracles in that place, because I even find myself, whenever people do that, it's very easy to be drawn into that even for the moment. But what I will be doing from this moment forward, I always try to pull myself out of it. And even saying the sentence, try to pull myself out of it, feels like a lot, right? But moving forward, from this moment forward, I will be imagining a miracle in its place. I will be imagining the good side of what the conversation is. I will bring out the gold. I will bring out whatever is shimmery in that conversation and make it different. So it's that. Do you have any feedback on that, Bob? That's just something that.
Well, first of all, I love that. I mean, that's gold right there, you know, to replace it. So I'm going to say a couple things. A limited belief system, anything lower vibration, it's an illusion because it's not of God. It's built by God, but it's not agreed to, so to speak. It's by human will or whatever. So a limited belief system needs us to talk about it, to agree with it, to judge it, condemn it, for that thought form to exist. It needs us to fear it. So if I mean, think about that. A limited energy package that doesn't have any life force of its own has to be fed like a parasite, exactly like a virus or parasite. So for me, I prefer to just let that parasite or virus die from lack of attention. And I can even speed that up by replacing it. I can simply put a miracle in its place. And that gets me like, in the sense of, I mean, truly, that's the fastest way to move upscale, is to just notice, ooh, what would I like to have in this place? What would be a blessing here? Oh, what will, you know, so, and then all of a sudden people that come to me, let's say, with challenges, problems, and whatever, I might not even say a word to them that I'm doing this, but I replace it right then and there, not really for them. I replace it in me where I'm connected to them. And if I feel how I feel now that a miracle has happened seemingly for them, they get it much quicker because I gave it to me where we're one. So right on, replace it, put a miracle in its place.
Awesome.
This is kind of like the Beatitudes in Scripture. I like the Beatitudes. I think that's pretty funny. That have an attitude of being, whatever.
Whatever.
My understanding of thought forms, we already talked about thought forms. They're thoughts that create form through feeding them, and you feed them by continuously thinking that thought's taken form in your mind and created this space for itself. Well, you've given it the space. And he's saying that you can replace them by just ignoring them or reversing it, saying the opposite. And in a way that's true, but it's also finding the origin of that belief. Why did that belief take form in your mind? That's even more powerful because you can replace it with something that is related to the origin of that belief.
Nancy, love the statements, just don't understand invisible to human creation. Do you want to break that one down for her?
Sure. I will break it down. So it's just a decree I learned from this little I Am Discourses book. And so if I'm invisible to human creation, it can't see me. I like that.
Yeah.
If I'm invincible, that means I'm all powerful, victorious. How's that? If I'm invulnerable, even though I don't like the in and not are the same thing. And still, I like to say that, you know, I like invincible, but it's still, Invisible means not visible, kind of like that, but also. So how about I am victorious in every situation? Really is what it's about.
He gave an example of the affirmation earlier on, the I'm invisible, invincible, and invulnerable to human creation. We already talked about it. It's not a human creation. But now he's walking it back and saying he doesn't like using the negative version and changing it to the positive version. I'm victorious rather than invincible. Anyway.
And there's only one true state that's victorious, and that's spirit, pure light. So, you know, if that doesn't click for somebody because it's mental, they don't understand the word. For me, I played with the word a long time. So, and I'm most likely way back 50 years ago when I first started this, I most likely had to get like, ooh, invincible, but I really like being that the illusion can't even freaking see me. I love that. And I mean, I love it. And I'll share this one story about that. I remember when I first started, I was such a shy kid. I mean, you know, young adult, phobic to speak in public. And I would start to travel and do classes. So I'd be in the back of the plane because, you know, that's the one I could afford back there. And I'd be in the back of the plane and I would just be terrified. And so this happened over and over again. A drunk from a sports whatever got in the plane at the beginning, in front of the plane. And I'd be going, oh my God, don't sit with me. Oh my God, don't come back here. Which I'm saying, oh my God, come back here. Oh, come back here because I don't want you to come back here. So, I mean, his seat was probably row 15, but I'm back in 34. And he, oh, sorry, buddy, and sits right next to me because I resisted him.
Yes.
So, you know, I love the idea that I can speed up, that I just notice things. I don't have to engage them.
What are we talking about? What does this have to do with anything? Don't planes have assigned seats? Because you were thinking don't sit by me isn't the reason he was sitting by you. It was the plane assigned him that seat, or he chose that seat when he booked his ticket. That's not how magic works, just so we're clear.
So that's what I mean by that invisible, invincible, and invulnerable. It just means I'm going to rise above the frequency where I don't even have to dance with it at all. If I don't feed it, then wow. And if I replace it, like put a miracle in its place, then I've done my job. I've done my spiritual responsibility. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you for saying your spiritual responsibility. So I'm not even going to add anything to that, but then we're doing our job, our spiritual responsibility. I don't need to add anything to that. Let it simmer if you want to. The EODR book actually has a section on frequency.
Yeah. And that's really good.
Yeah. That's, there's that. There's also like any sort of, I mean, just you can look up a lot of frequency stuff and learn about it. There's a lot of aromatherapy stuff that'll teach you about the frequencies of what different things do also. Not that you need to become an aromatherapist by any means.
But the fact that she said that, it's like you can sell essential oils with Young Living and you don't have to have any sort of certification of aromatherapy. I mean, you probably should be an aromatherapist if you're selling essential oils.
Well, sir, what else we got?
I'll just say, and if everybody please can imagine, the way I do it is ultraviolet light. If you can imagine ultraviolet light, where in restaurants, etc., they've got these lights on the wall usually, and they emit ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light, it's just light, but viruses, mold, whatever, it can't live in that. And it's a higher frequency. So imagine we've got all these oils. So let's add in just miraculously that all of us agree that the earth now, I'm going to use angels to do this, that like ultraviolet light angels are blazing like a wave of light, you know, across the earth, consuming all shadows, all concern, all fear, all doubt, all error, and forgiving it all and replacing it all in this ultraviolet light. Just imagine that. And every time you think of any country, any group, our Mother Earth, everyone that you can think of, just pop a little, you know, violet light or ultraviolet light in. And the idea of it is it's like in our visible light spectrum, it's the highest one. You know, it's the highest frequency. So it's been said that violet light purifies, which it does.
Okay, again, I feel like this is a spell. There's a visualization that I like to do when I feel scared, and it is to visualize myself surrounded by a light, a white light, and that light expands to the crevices in the corners of my space. It expands and lights up everything so that there's no scary things in the dark. That is a spell. And going back to what I was saying before, in addition to this spell of casting light on everything, I also have practical protective measures in place in my space. Doors are locked, windows are locked, security cameras, all sorts of protection that is practical. And so with his metaphor of the UV light, which it is purifying, like I have a UV light for backpacking so that I can drink water on the trail. It does clean the water so that I can drink water and not have to carry so much. So it's not wrong. It is reminiscent of when Trump said that we should just shine UV light inside of our lungs.
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light.
Didn't he say that?
Supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do.
Gosh, 2020 was a weird time, wasn't it? Anyway, and then he's saying we should visualize angels or whatever casting UV light over the world and ridding us of this virus. And so again, like that is a spell, but we should also do, and at the time, what we were supposed to be doing practically, covering our face, our nose and mouth with masks, washing our hands, not touching our face, getting the vaccine when it was out, getting the second dose, getting the booster, practical things. If you're able to do those things, covering your face, getting the vaccine, then it's good to do those things to protect the more vulnerable people in the community. The point is, yes, we can cast the spell of protection, of ridding the world of something we don't want, while also doing the practical things to also accomplish that goal.
What it's meant to be, like let the weak man say, I am strong. And it replaces it, it's been said, I just like this, so I'm going to share it. It replaces it without retribution. I love that. I mean, that's grace to me. When I'm in grace, I didn't earn it. I just gifted it. And so each one of us, that for me, what Young Living Essential Oils are for me is grace. I'm going to use it in the bottle. And it's very specific grace. So one thing I can add is one of the ways to find out what are the best oils for you to use to stay high frequency is whatever you love. And love is our source code. What we love is our source code. So if you go, well, this is pretty good. This one, wow, use that one because it amplifies love. So that's what I've got.
Oh man, I love that. I love that so much. And the purple light, like as you were doing it, I was totally visualizing and got the massive goosebumps. And if anybody knows anything about violet flame or anything, if you want to go down the rabbit hole.
As I've mentioned before, one of my favorite Twitch streamers is Julian Field, who is a co-host of the QAA podcast, which is a QAnon Anonymous. They're a group of men who have been following the Q movement since the beginning, basically. I think 2018 was when their first episodes came out, giving information, debunking, showcasing what people are saying within that conspiracy theory. And he revealed and started watching Saint Germain content and the I Am cult.
Remember, when you say I am, you're saying God in me is.
Of I am the violet flame.
I am the violet flame, in action in me now. I am the violet flame, to light alone I bow. I am the violet flame, in mighty cosmic power. I am the light of God, shining every hour. I am the violet flame, action in me now. I am the violet flame, to light alone I bow. I am the violet flame, in mighty cosmic power. I am the light of God, shining every hour. I am the violet flame, blazing like a sun. I am God's sacred power, freeing everyone.
If that's interesting to you, I would talk more about it. Let me know in the comments if you want to know more about this cult.
There's all sorts of interesting concepts in there, right? Like, and sacred geometry we could go into that is associated with that. This is good stuff, you guys. And it's so, for those of you that haven't been down that rabbit hole yet.
Falling down a rabbit hole.
It's so, he's putting together massive concepts in a very digestible form, you guys. These are concepts you could spend hours and hours and hours and hours, you know, sort of like digging into, and maybe you still want to, and that's fantastic. We all have our geek moments, right? Like where we want to do that. He's putting that into a digestible form for you to just like, he's done that stuff. And so now you can just kind of take it and make it yours. Let's see. So you've got some facilitator training stuff that you're doing right now. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yeah.
She has a link to this program that he just described, all for you. It's $555. And she has a link to it, but she doesn't have that it's an affiliate. I mean, he said the word affiliate, but she didn't disclose that it's an affiliate link. That's against the rules. When you have an affiliate link, you have to disclose that it's a link, and that basically what that means is that if someone clicks that link and makes a purchase, then you get paid for that. One thing she did do, even though she didn't disclose that it was an affiliate link, she did link to the income disclosure statement from Young Living, and this is from 2023, so this is the most recent income disclosure. They have all brand partners. It's not just people who are qualified at the rank, it was all brand partners. They have the percentage of all brand partners decreases as you go up each rank, 64.1% as the associate, less than 0.1% at Royal Crown Diamond, which is the highest. And actually, if you add up the percentages of all brand partners up to Platinum, which is the 4th rank from the top of the compensation plan, that actually equals 100%. So I'm sure there's some like rounding up at certain points just for the graphic. But that means that Diamond, Crown Diamond, and Royal Crown Diamond, like they're such a small percentage. It's like way less than 0.1%. They have the first 3 ranks. The lowest that they earned is 0. And they actually do include both the average and the median, which is really interesting because having one type of average is useful. But having 2 and being able to compare them, like having the mean and the median, is even more powerful because it gives you more information about what's happening in that data set. So the average for an associate was 22, but when you see that the median is 0, that means that when you line up all of the data set and you look at the very middle number, it's 0, which means that at least half, if not more than half, are making $0 at that first rank. And because it's 64.1% of the entire group of brand partners, that means that half of the majority of the company, at least, is making $0. If we look at the median of all brand partners, it's 23. And the average of all brand partners is 881. So that includes those who made almost 3 million in annual income, is the highest that a Royal Crown Diamond earned. And that number is like so far away from 881, it's ridiculous. And so it's not even pulling that. Averages work by like, if the number is closer to the lowest number, it usually means that there's a lot of numbers that are in that lower range. The 3 million data point, it's barely pulling that number away from 0. Anyway, that's interesting.
And to me, my perfect community is anyone working with Young Living, because I mean, we know why. I don't need to say why. And think about the plant kingdom. Instead of even talking about oils for helping what's wrong, just figure out, what's it restoring? What's it restoring? So kind of the compliance thing is like, well, I'm restoring this, I'm restoring that. And that's the same with the coaching. It's not, here's what's wrong, we got to deal with it. It's, here's your signal, and our greatest weakness shall be our greatest strength. That's what I've surf on. And let the weak man say, I am strong. That's another one of my surfboards. So anybody, if you're the one, I'll just share with everybody, if you're the one in your community, I will get a link to Martha right away. I'm just letting everyone know, it's like, you're the ones. You're my best option, each of you, because you're already involved in the highest frequency I'm aware of on the planet. So
yes, amen to that. Amen to that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to let you, we're just dropping the mic on that. Everybody have an awesome week.
That was from a while ago, so there's definitely, for these 2 people in particular, maybe they've changed. I just wanted to look at some of the ways that Young Living has sold to people who might be sort of spiritual or witchy in order to recruit them into what I believe is a pyramid scheme. Now we've looked at Young Living a little bit. We talked about my experience with a Young Living representative. I just hope that nobody who follows me joins an MLM. And if you're in an MLM, I hope you leave it. It's just not worth it. MLMs are not a money-making opportunity unless you join early or recruit the most amount of people. They can be manipulative. They can be predatory. They take advantage of our beliefs and our vulnerabilities, in my opinion. And I don't want anyone to have to deal with that. And I hope that nobody goes into a group where they think they're going to make friends and find out that they just see you as a dollar sign. I don't want anyone to feel that way. Having the information of what an MLM is. I just hope that that can help protect people from getting hurt in the way that I was. So thank you for watching. Let me know if you're interested in more things like this, and I'll see you next time.